Of course, that's very important, but humbled and bold by the kind of content that this forum has given. But I must confess, I'm feeling a little nervous, despite doing probably 100 roadshows or interviews over the last 10 years or something. मैं जिंदगी में कभी traders के साथ कभी interaction ही नहीं हुआ. मैंने कभी जिंदगी में charts देखा apart from screener पे जो default है. So in the last 24 hours, the kind of charts and trading input I've got, I have never ever in my 25-year career got these kind. And I'm truly touched, Rajiv ji, for your warmth and the kind of reception, inviting me and adding me last moment. Raju ji, HK sir, the kind of family you all have created, truly touched, and it's humbling. Just a little background that will help. I was born for this. This is not my work. This is not my sport. This is what I've been doing since school. Just to be, officially I joined markets in 2001, so करीबन 25 साल हुए हैं, but even before that, during school days or college days, this is what I used to do. I come from an institutional investing background. It's a very different world. Maybe Ashwini was here, Ajay, probably they are from that world, and which is very different kind of investing, and I was lucky to be part of the two firms that I wanted to be part of, and they chose me also, which is Reliance Mutual Fund and ValueQuest. I have zero social media, no TV, no video games. I've never been interested in cricket. I wouldn't care a damn if India is winning or losing the World Cup or going on. The only thing I've been interested in is markets. मैं तो हर कॉन्सर्ट में भी लास्ट 2 साल में जाना चालू किया हूँ, बिकॉज बच्चे जाते हैं तो मैं कॉन्सर्ट में या तो कॉन्कॉर्ड सुन रहा हूँ या स्क्रीनर का अमेजिंग AI ट्रांसक्रिप्ट समरीज पढ़ रहा हूँ. मुझे कोई आइडिया नहीं है निफ्टी क्या है, सेंसेक्स क्या है. आई वाज एब्सोल्युटली क्लियर कि 15 से 20 साल में पैसा 100 से 200 गुना करना है, एंड वी बीन एबल टू डू इट, एंड दैट्स हाउ इट इज. माय पैशन इज रीडिंग बुक्स, ग्लोबल कंपनीज, केस स्टडीज, जर्नल्स. आई एम अ बिग बिलीवर इन इंडियन संस्कृति. Gratitude, the power of gratitude that we have. Had I not been in markets, I would be probably researching on Mahabharat, Ramayana. मैंने 10 बार पढ़ी है या सोची है. I believe my heroes have always been entrepreneurs, not Bollywood, not cricketers, and I'm truly happy that last 5-10 साल में जो इंडिया का कैपिटल मार्केट बूम हुआ है, उससे इंडियन entrepreneurs and investors को जो gratification मिला. So my social circle is also about investing in entrepreneurs. Last 20-25 साल में I was completely asocial. Last कुछ सालों में I'm now relaxed. Now I've taken a sabbatical from capital raising and the usual rigmarole of being a part of an AMC. Now I want to lead a more relaxed life. So I've moved to a family office role of my founders. I'm truly in gratitude to the Ramshi family and ValueQuest for giving me that scale of platform, which is very few across the world. 100% in equity forever. I don't care if the markets fall 50% tomorrow, rise 50% tomorrow. I have a card in my wallet which I'm always, it's IRR and compounding. So last 20 साल में 100-200 गुना हो ही गया, या we don't anymore calculate it anywhere. And I think next 10-20 साल में it's a historic opportunity. I have a few videos also to share on that. I never wanted to be rich. मुझे वैसे थे, I was absolutely clear. I wanted to be wealthy, and that degree is very different. Papa started from capital market in 82. Unfortunately, in 92 to 96, we lost everything. It's a miracle that I completed school from one of the best schools, but I know what my family went through to put me in school. But fortunately, from last 15 years, जो भी धीरे-धीरे करके, बूंद-बूंद करके, हम लोगों ने पिछले 15 साल में accumulate किया, the kind of returns that we've seen in the last 15 years, or the kind of teams that I was part of, that really helped me. So I'm very positive about the country and the aspects of investing. I believe as an ethos, 996, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., 6 days a week. If somebody does that, it's easy to become a billionaire. And for my own ecosystem and myself, I have done it. My greatest emotion in this was we are in the right place, in the right country, in the right profession, in the right age. And I'll show you a video. I really love the fact that yesterday national anthem was played. I have created an anthem for India and a video around it where I took the Illuminati team the Shraddha Kapoor movie ABCD, and I'll show that video as a breaker between my two parts of the presentation. It'll probably relax the audience. In terms of investing, I've always thought, kahan 100 crore laga sakte hain, kahan 500 crore laga sakte hain, and maybe 1 or 2,000 crore investments in every few years, and that's what I've practiced for the last 20 years. I think about investing in terms of industry tailwinds, mega trends, earnings explosion, kahan par PE rating ho sakta hai, and kahan we can bet really large. We need to do very few transactions in a year or a few years. Being very, very conservative about investing. Last 25 साल में एक भी fraud case मेरे साथ तो नहीं हुआ. One startup I've written off, but that was very small. And otherwise, we are very, very careful about trying to avoid errors. It'll be a 60-minute presentation having 2 videos. And finally, you are what your deepest driving desire is. As is your desire, so is your deed. As is your deed, so is your action. And as is your action, so is your destiny. I was very, very clear. I did not have a single rupee of capital, but I believe that if मैं Bombay में रहूँगा और India में रहूँगा, तो a couple of billions can be made, and that has been done. Before I get to the presentation, so I've given some brief and I'll cover the presentation. It'll be fast because it's more data. I've focused on breadth rather than depth. Usually I focus on industries. For example, renewable energy, last 3 साल में we are one of the largest investors in the country, and there is no precedence to the kind of investments and scale that we've done. Usually life में $1 या $2 billion trades ही मिलते हैं, and for us that was that. I need a pointer so that I can point to the figures when I do. Is the pointer here? But so my presentation is about change versus transformation, both at the country level, at the sector level. And just to be sure, I will have a stopwatch ready so I'll move on time. These are the things we've covered, some part fast, some part slow, India's transformation, market transformation, etc. So, of course, thank you so much. Pointer, Chana? Okay, no problem. So, this I think we know. So, any strategist and economist I've never come across who's created wealth in the market. Just to drive home a point, I will not be speaking about India macros. I think there is enough and more content, my own and of so many fund managers across the world and in India, but only a few pointers where there is a miscommunication. World growth, okay, this is one big misnomer. So I have taken 2 case studies, 61 to 95, 33 years, when world GDP was growing at 10% CAGR, there were 2 renaissance, Japan and Korea. Japan grew 100x, Korea grew 234x. Similarly, 2094 to 13, when world GDP grew 6% CAGR, China grew 3x and India grew 6x. Okay, sorry, China grew 17x, India grew 6x. So this thing about global macro GDP growth, there will always be an oasis somewhere. Though I completely agree, and I've been to China, we are 30 years behind, and there is no way we can get to what they are. But still, India is a good distant third. This is going to happen in our lifetime. We are the ovarian lottery. India is going to be the only economy in the world forever that is going to enter the $10 trillion club. No other economy is poised, positioned, and I'll be sharing the presentation, so just in case. So, $8 trillion के लिए 63 years लगे, and next 10 साल में it'll be adding $1 trillion every year. Not even the wisest sitting here understand the meaning of adding $1 trillion of GDP every year. अभी जबकि इंडिया $3000 है, तो इतना एयरलाइन का hotels नहीं है, the infrastructure is in some way constrained. खाली 2 करोड़ लोग अमीर हैं, तो इंडिया की ये हालत है in terms of demand supply shock. इंडिया में 12 से 15 करोड़ लोग will be rich beyond our imagination. Okay, now we come to data. Unfortunately, my presentations are always more data. So let's look at nominal GDP, 28 lakh crore, 2005, 55 lakh crore, 112 lakh crore, 330 lakh crore, and look at the market cap and cash flow. Market cap, जब मैं market join किया था 2001 में, तो 20 लाख करोड़ था. अभी 25 लाख करोड़ का 400 लाख करोड़ हो गया है. Do you see a relation here? Market cap, cash flow, nominal GDP. There is a reasonably good relation for the first 10 years and for the next 10 years, 2 time slots. It's a 20-year perspective. So nominal GDP and cash flow दोनों 3 से 4 गुना हुए हैं. Market cap has responded accordingly, and similarly for the next cohort. In this case, 2020 का base है, market cap has gone up tad more because that's the base of 2020. Okay, so there is a relationship to this equation, and या तो कोई 7 साल में होगा $10 trillion GDP या 12 साल में होगा. I don't think so. There's a question. I completely agree with Ajay's point. There is a lot of headwind related to AI and services slowdown. If manufacturing does not shoulder some part of it, 10% nominal GDP growth is not easy. 8%. So there is a clear correlation between GDP, corporate cash flow, and market cap response. There is a video on YouTube that I've done on an event on what we've seen as the first level of digitalization in India, which is DPI 1.0. If somebody wants to understand what is coming in terms of DPI, DPI is digital public infrastructure. DPI 2.0 is just unveiling. Sharad Sharma ji is leading. And this is the whole stack. We've seen only the benefits of a few right now, which is UPI and all that. Now, let me show you the impact. So, OKL has already launched, and you should see how Bajaj Finance is using some of these technologies. But this is going to take probably 7-10 years, and it's going to be a completely societal transformation. But what happens when a technology-led intervention when the Jan Dhan Jam Trinity happened, I've taken one case study, financial inclusion. So what was to happen over 46 years through conventional ways of financial inclusion was in some way sped up into 6 years because of Jam Trinity. Jan Dhan, Jam Trinity, everybody knows, mobile ecosystem, internet, everything comes together. And at the end, I have a video in which when 8 technologies come together, what happens? So this is just one case study. Digital infrastructure, physical infrastructure, regulatory reform, liquidity and capital access. The 4 building blocks have been solved in India or are getting solved. Our forefathers, our parents, our grandparents, no, we are the lucky generation. Not even the wisest can understand. If you want to read what happens, all 3 get solved. There is no proper book on China, but I would say Americana. If you see the kind of renaissance that happened in US, when the highways in 80s in US got built, the second order outcome was the creation of McDonald's, right? And in the semiconductor ecosystem, there's a different example. The GAFA, I'll speak about the GAFA ecosystem. There's a different example I'm just giving you. So my presentation is going to be how do we research industries, find industries, and bet large. So change and transformation, we are looking to not invest in change, we're looking to invest in transformation. That's why it was a bit of a culture shock for me. 75-minute chart, I'd never heard of it. Or people talking about 3 to 5 trades a week. So this is the first time I actually learned, but some of the trading psychology related learnings were amazing. I still have to learn the system. I'm a big admirer of Stanley Druckenmiller. I need to institutionalize that learning better. So I'm not going to spend more, I'm going to show you the video. So we are in the right age, right time. Before I show the next part, okay, let me move to market structure, then I'll show you the video. So India's market structure transformation, 20 साल में $250 billion, $5 trillion हुआ है. But let me take a pause. That market cap is just optics. What has changed बीच में? Few industrial groups to MNCs and more family-driven businesses. Few sectors to multiple sectors, few business models to Sensex focus company. मैंने जिंदगी में कभी Sensex नहीं देखा. I don't care a damn Nifty Sensex क्या होता है या क्या होगा. As long as it keeps compounding at 10-12%, नीचे we invest in companies which will come in the index in the next 5 years, 10 years. FI is driving the market to domestic liquidity. So what I'm trying to say is the reason why we were a fragile market 20 years back, 10 years back, but now the market structure has secularly changed. आज के दिन 4 लाख करोड़ FI ने बेच दिया, फिर the markets are reasonably strong, right? 4 लाख करोड़ तो खाली promoters ने बेचा है last 2.5 या 3 साल में. FIs ने भी 3-3.5 लाख 4 करोड़ 3.5-4 लाख करोड़ बेचा है. The markets have become so resilient because of the construct in terms of today a Reliance Group or a Adani Group cannot shake the markets. So both in terms of groups, sectors, breadth and depth of company, and I've always said it in my content for last 20 years, there are only 3 countries in the world. वैसे तो 200 हैं, US, China and India. There is no 4th country in the world in terms of this kind of a market structure. TSMC, single stock driving Taiwan. Aramco, single stock driving Saudi Arabia, right? The Dutch have, which is that pharma company. Novo Nordisk, right. So Novo Nordisk is driving the Dutch market. So India is one of the few markets which is. Now let's come to understanding the Indian market. Sorry, the pointer is not working. So, okay. 2005, number of companies 10,000 crore के नीचे and 80,000 crore के ऊपर. So let me just show you one column. 80,000 करोड़ के ऊपर के 2005 में खाली एक कंपनी थी, 2025 में 115 कंपनीज हैं. So if you see 10 year cohort, 3 से 5 गुना होता है ये सारा cohort every 10 years. Okay? Now come to average market cap. If you see average market cap में भी 2005 तो बेस बहुत छोटा था, but if you see again 4 से 6 गुना. So आज का जो small cap है, and one of the slides I'll show you is this whole definition of large cap, mid cap, small cap for investors is irrelevant, but I'll show you some evidence on it. So this cohort will naturally progress ahead of what has happened in the last 5, 10, 15, 20 years. Okay? Your small cap of today, so हम लोग ने जब small cap invest करना चालू किया था ना 2005 साथ में we launched small cap funds and all that. उस समय ये सब definitions नहीं थी, तो उस समय companies used to be 3-5 हजार करोड़ and all that. आज के दिन तो वो माइक्रो कैप हो गई है, एंड आज के दिन 8,000 करोड़ इज द स्मॉल कैप कट ऑफ, $1 billion द स्मॉल कैप कट ऑफ, एंड स्मॉल कैप मिड कैप कट ऑफ इज 8,000 करोड़ के ऊपर, एंड 8,000 crores to 44,000 crores is mid caps, which used to be unheard of maybe 10 years back. So again, this is a natural progression and we don't fret about it too much, but what the message is that simple, 2005 में एक कंपनी थी, अब 115 कंपनी हो गई है. 10,000 करोड़ से 80,000 करोड़ में 25 कंपनी थी, अब 250 कंपनीज हो गई हैं. We are looking for, in our investment journey, we have done dozens of it, but we are looking for very few companies which can make us to a small to mid to large and all that. So you can comfortably say above $10 billion, there will be 300 to 400 companies in the next 10 years. Above $10 billion. Okay, it's tiny compared to what happens in US or China, but अपना तो यही perspective है because we are in India. Coming to cash flow, okay, that was market cap, but cash flow is independent variable. Market cap is an outcome. So if you see 2010 लेते हैं, okay, 2010 लेते हैं, which is the second row. Above 2,000 crores of annual cash flow, there were 47 companies. Today there are 173 companies. Okay? Let's look at the same column, niche. Average cash flow bucket. 2010 में 37 companies were within the 500 to 1,000 crores of cash flow. There are 212 companies. आज के दिन इंडिया में 850 companies above 100 crore of profit. And there are 570 companies above $1 billion of market capitalization. Look at the breadth of opportunity that there is to find multi-baggers or good stories. So this is the market structure: mega cap, large cap, mid cap, small cap, macro cap. I don't care about indices or something. This is just our, and we study a lot of market structure, industry profit pools at great depths and all that. And we try to. If you see top 200 companies is 80% of the market cap and the 80% of EBITDA impact. And likewise, even after this correction, mid and small cap are at 30 times trailing PE. Okay, we don't look at PE, but I'm just giving you a shorthand. We don't look at only PE. It's the last thing that I look at, valuation. Sometimes there are non-linear shifts, or sometimes there are optics. If the rate of growth is much higher, then you have to contextualize the valuation accordingly. But what I'm trying to show is there was a dislocation that was there between share of profits and share of market cap in mid and small cap, which needs to be corrected. People who've entered the market in the last 5 years, God help them. Last 5 years was a distortion. Unless you've gone through a few bear markets, life is not. Okay, so this is the sectoral distribution of Indian corporations' profits. Just to sum it up, today 460 lakh crores is the market cap, $5 trillion. We are at 18 lakh crores of profit and 24 lakh crores of annual cash flows. 24 lakh crore. 2019 से 2020 pre-COVID. Anybody knows what this number was? Profit 17,70,000 crore hai. This used to be 5 से 5.5 lakh crore. Markets have not been mindless to go up 3-4x. Profits came in, and that's how the markets came in. Markets anticipated, and that's always the case. So look at the scale of profits. We have $267 billion of annual cash flow now, and our leverage is the lowest. So the ability to reinvest for India is also as big. One more thing, manufacturing, private and PSU. We are at a market cap of $1.2 trillion, but the profit pool is only $30 billion. This is our biggest focus for the last 10 years, manufacturing, and we've made some very large commitments in this area, and we'll discuss more. Okay, now coming to cash flow sectors and how they have transformed. Those are 10, 15, 20, 25. The red line here, consumer FMCG, 7%, 9%, 11% growth. They are growing at less than nominal GDP. Who says consumer is a growth area? I have invested or I have led investments, thousands of crores in consumer side. Make no mistake, it's a trap to say that consumer is, and Ajay already alluded to the volume growth, that's the reality. So you have to be very clear about segmenting kahan growth hai. It's a bit of a myth कि consumer है और India इतनी बड़ी country है तो grow कर रहा है. What is growing is probably discretionary, but these are staples, right? So $50 billion going to $250 billion. If you look at the top right, if you see banks and NBFCs had a 5-year, 10-year, 15-year of 20% cash flow growth consistently, and that has been the holy grail of big wealth creation there. Obviously, there are several other segments. For example, capital goods. You see capital goods, very high rate of growth. Sorry, again, I don't have the pointers. But look at the larger trend. CAGR for the entire market has been 24% for the last 5 years for the entire cash flow of the country, 14% for 10-year and 12% for 15-year. Agar 12%, because economic growth hai, and then there is a market share, export-led, import substitution, black to white economy. So obviously profit growth will be a tad higher than GDP growth. So 12% agar profit growth hai country ka, that's all we want, क्योंकि 12% मतलब 7 साल में double. अगर 7 साल में इतनी बड़ी कंपनी, which is India Corporation, $4.5 trillion, $5 trillion, तो अगर ये 12% ग्रो करेगा, तो what the hell are we wasting time towards a Hindustan Lever or Castrol or Colgate or a FMCG or a IT, large cap IT? They are past glories. They are great companies which have built the country, but they're not the future high growth companies, right? अगर economy 12% grow कर रही है, corporate profits, we will automatically have a pool of companies growing at more than 25%. So what not to do and what to do, right? Okay, before we come to this, I'll just show you a video. It will also be a little bit of a monotony breaker. And this video is very close to my heart, my sentiment towards the country. Oops, there's no audio. Do you have to share the screen somewhere? It's not visible on the screen. This book is inspired by Tony Seba's book called Rethink, Caterpillar to Butterfly. The ethos is a caterpillar becomes the butterfly, but there is no semblance between a butterfly's capabilities and a caterpillar's capabilities, and that's what happened in US, China, Korea, and Will the audio work? So I showed this video on a 120 feet LED at Geo Convention. 2 साल पहले हमारा एक event हुआ था. Yeah, that's, I think the 400-year bastardization that India went through in the hands of the British and Mughals, that time is over. If you want to study the country cycles, there are 400-year country cycles. It's very well explained by Vedalio in his book, The Principles, the new version. It's beautiful. India ka time aa gaya hai. I don't know if it will be in my lifetime, but hopefully we are in the generation which is going to see the bad and the good India from emerging to develop for the next 20 years. That way, we are a lucky generation. Okay, industry perspective. Coming to where we look for spending our life is finding industries and betting large early on. Technical analysis to bahut dur ki baat hai. We don't even wait for media, brokers, bankers, auditors and all that. We have to do our own independent work. I study a lot of global trends and all that for that. So clear evidence of why industry growth is very important to study is just some examples. So these are some examples of industries. They went through a high growth phase. Duration of the cycle, okay, beginning and the end. Profit pool, how they transform. So if you see number of times the profits went up, then obviously market caps. So if industry profit pools grow 20, 25, 30, 40%, obviously big wealth is created within companies within. So half the battle is industry in some way. Now if you see no growth or degrowth, similarly market caps and so we've done a lot of work on industry, every industry in this side. My founders championed investing in these things from last 30 years. I worked on renewables for the last 4 years and we'll share some data on that. So, okay, incidentally, I was amused when Aap Machli aur wo sabka. So we've been, recently we have started speaking about how we think about it. Pehle we used to do it, but we were not speaking about it. So now we're trying to put words to it so that external investors also understand. we focus on rate of change and change of rate. Rate of change is fish size increasing, which is company, high growth. Change of rate is pond size increasing. I don't want to focus on life. Okay, I'll give you a distortion. There's a distortion called new economy, old economy. Complete bullshit, I'll explain the distortions. I can tell you, Colgate was a new economy 40, 50 years back. There was a good part of India which was not doing brushing, right? Every country or every industry will be old and new. It can't be separated by technology, and I'll show you the nuance. So up here is probably an industry which has got matured and there are some dominant leaders. Ultimately, what you're looking for is increasing the pond size, and number of fishes matter in a pond, which is coming to what are the key questions to ask. How big is the pond? How fast is the pond growing? How dominant is a fish? And how many other fish are there in terms of? And rather than Michael Porter, and he has a lot of gaps, I've read all the books of Michael Porter, the new version, Understanding Michael Porter, by a lady, is the updated version. Also, Michael Porter missed the fifth important building block in his study. It was not relevant that time, is scale barriers. I'll give you an example of scale barriers. Coffee to koi bhi bana leta hai, but puri duniya mein ek hi Starbucks hai. McDonald's burnt $10 billion in trying to make a pizza, but still there is only one pizza company in the world which is dominant. Anybody of us can get into lending or an asset management company. Why are very few AMCs which are successful? So there are many layers. Entry barrier is one of the most overrated concepts. Anybody can do anything, but at what scale can you do it? The India में करीब 500 PMS, 300-400 PMSs होंगे, कम से कम 50 AMCs हैं, but you will find there is a 80-20, 90-10 Pareto's law there also. Right? My investing is about Buffett to Don Valentine, and the bridge to that is Michael Mobison. If you want to study, and I'm talking about the new generation, I find Benjamin Graham and all that completely irrelevant. In fact, detrimental. If any intern comes to me and tells me I'm reading Warren Buffett's letter, I say, thank you, I've heard you well, sorry you can't add any value. There is a limitation to past body of knowledge unless you have a bridge to the future. So, Don Valentine is something which Indian investors, I find, is not well read. He's the architect of the future that we're living in today. And Buffett did not invest in change, whereas Don Valentine, the founder of Sequoia, invested in all the companies that created the current and are building the future. So both are important. This video I'll not play, but it's must see. Now, all the great companies in the world, either be West or East, have done this playbook called GAFA. GAFA is Google, Apple, Facebook, and Amazon. We were the earlier, now it's become Max 7. What they did was they solved the customer problem. They took control of the digital infrastructure around the customers, and they vertically and horizontally integrated into the customer's life, right? And that's how the flywheel happened. It's a busy slide, so I'll just decode. For example, you're a consumer company or a QSR company. There are 4 building blocks: selection advantage, service advantage, inventory quality advantage, and experience advantage. These are the 4 flywheels, and within that subsegments. Similarly, if you're a platform company, you're solving for inventory, logistics, brand, and financing. If you see all the great companies, like for example, Bajaj Finance, I've been writing about it for last 10 years odd. Customers, capital, people, products, channels, and how they put the flywheel to work. It's called walled gardens, but you'll find large companies have to create this flywheel, otherwise you can't remain large for too long or you can't grow. Another aspect is, and we do this, practice it. I'm not looking for venture capital returns. We're looking to bet large. Usually we look at कि कहाँ पर 100 करोड़ पे डाल सकते हैं, 200 करोड़ पे डाल सकते हैं. So I'm happy with waiting for the winners to emerge. But this is a perspective where first to market is not the eventual winner. Google was not the first engine, first search engine, etc. So we want clarity of dominant leadership, not too late, not too early, at the cusp. And our thing is, कहाँ पर 50-100 crore का profit है, which can become 500 crore का 1000 crore. And we're looking for high probability, high predictable outcomes. We are happy with 20-25% CAGR. We've delivered probably 100x in 20 odd years, and वो भी replicate हो जाए next 20 साल में तो काफी है, but let's see. I'm talking about more at individual investors level. The fund is ValueQuest, जो मैं associated था पहले, उनका भी 15 साल का track record 19-20% CAGR है. I was associated with Reliance. They've also delivered 20% CAGR over long periods. The S curve, riding the wave of transformation. This is our focus always, finding the S curves within industries, within sectors and all that, and study them deeply and find how to ride it. I will show a video around this, it will be very clear. Every company, every industry will go through this S curve, and we are not interested in companies which are past the S curve, no matter what the past glory might be. Okay, so if you see across fabric, insulin, video, cameras, tires, coal, nails, corn, everything follows an X curve. If you go on YouTube or if you go on a website that I've created, I've put a lot of content around it, around the study of these X curves. If you see in US, railroads, chemicals, autos, software, internet, semiconductor components, etc., everything has a curve in terms of adoption, profit pool, etc. So, industry matters and not sectors. When I hear the word sector, let me give you a perspective. For example, consumer is a sector, but within consumer there is so many different industries: alcohol, beverages, non-alcohol beverages, dairy, apparel, QSR, and within that there are sub-segments. We focus on industries, which is a function of even understanding cohorts, luxury, mass premium, rural demand, exports. So we focus on more specific. In pharma, for example, all the industries are completely different. US generics, India branded generics, CDMO, diagnostic, hospital, CRAMS, biotech, etc. are completely different profit pools. So just pharma or healthcare is too overgeneralization. Yeah, so this is what the thing is. I will show you a case study of where we made a difference and how. So that's why sector ETFs is something, that's why we don't do, we focus on companies and entrepreneurs. Okay, so this is one case study. I have dashboards for all companies, or let's say capital good ka alag hai. I'll just give you one flavor. Let's say consumer mein, what are the dimensions? The dimension is first demand estimation, which can be a function of addressable population, frequency of consumption, consumption value, share of wallet, pricing power, etc., etc. And there are multiple industry segments. I identified non-alcoholic beverages as my focus area. And in my previous stint, we bet very large on, for example, a company called Varun Beverages. When it got listed at 9,000 crores market cap, $1 billion odd, Sopi, Mitha, something, we bet very, very large, and we made probably more than 2,000 crores of gain. And even today, at 1,70,000 crores market cap, it has a much, much longer runway. So again, just to drive home the point, we don't look at companies from an accounting point of view only. Financial analysis is one aspect. There are multiple dimensions in terms of where it is in the S curve, business financial model, and accounting valuation is probably one of the least priorities in that whole thing. In fact, a lot of accounting related valuation has huge limitations. We look at a lot of data globally and in India. Unfortunately, I missed this data, and I'm just trying to show it as an example. I haven't captured. This is Nvidia. 10 साल में कुछ नहीं हुआ. July 23 के quarter में something happened. Your revenue jumped from $7.2 billion quarterly to $13.5 billion. I do this for a lot of India data, so that's why we do study a lot of shifts. Either it could be in terms of results, in terms of market share, in terms of margins, in terms of capacity. We do a lot of industry analysis there, but I'm just showing if somebody has the data, just like in technical, we have a lot of screening and all that, we do a lot of fundamental. I've invested in several such companies, not this one, but several such companies. For example, we actually rode it in a riding Wari Energies, which went from 70 crores of profit to now this year 4,000 crores and a much longer runways ahead. But this is Motherson Sumi, where it will be India's first $100 billion revenue company in a 4-5 year period. It's already at $25 billion revenue. So we look for companies, never micro caps. उतना time नहीं है, bandwidth नहीं है. And we look for a company जहाँ 100-200-300 crore का profit हो and it can become large companies. Okay, data speaks. What didn't work? FMCG, IT services, private banks, high valuation. Most of these cohorts we were not invested because there were reasons 5 साल पहले. I can tell you with we were amongst the few funds उस समय HDFC Bank में कोई interest नहीं था. It used to be a much crowded trade 5-7 years back. Not because it's a great company, built the country. There is not enough written about how HDFC built the country, but it's just that the glorious days of 25-30% profit CAGR and all that behind. What worked? Reform different industries, renewables, defense, electronics manufacturing, capital market boom, SME boom, small and mid-cap boom. We captured quite a bit of this. In fact, जब SME वगैरह में invest करना चालू किया था, I had no clue this is SME. When I'm doing a company analysis, I really don't care वो NSE में, BSE में, SME में, the depth of work is as much. Yeah? और हर company में 100 घंटे लगते हैं, इसीलिए we try and pick up few things and few projects. Theme selection, I call it not large cap, mid cap, small cap, I call it fast cap. And if you Google on YouTube, my founder Ravi and me, we actually started a fund also called Fast Cap. And the key ethos was such common sense. Key people are focusing on large cap, mid cap, small cap funds. I don't understand. There are so many large caps which have become multi-baggers because that industry was growing. So many small caps that are not doing well. It's the speed of growth which determines or defines the company, not the size, right? We study a lot of regulations and policies and industry data to find where there is a faster industry versus where there is a decaying or a dying industry or a slow growth industry. Thinking through noise, final section, a lot of people have studied Berkshire letters. Unfortunately, they've not studied the first 30 years of Berkshire. I find hardly any focus on the first 30 years of Berkshire. First 30 years of Berkshire, he did 1400x. The second phase, जब आपका when you're at $100 billion plus of net worth, उसके बाद आप 15% भी compound करोगे, you're happy. I don't see enough focus on the first 30 years of Berkshire, and that's what our intent always was. And the first 30 years of Berkshire were very different. So we study a lot of global investors and try to learn from them, but try and study patterns of economy which were at the same stage as India, or investors who were that. अभी $500 billion का Berkshire Hathaway है या so many such funds. There is no way I can try and learn from that. By the way, Indore has a big foundation and contribution. मैंने कंपनी में इन्वेस्ट किया था 100 करोड़ का मार्केट कैप था. We got good and सोचा था 5 साल में 10 गुना हो सकता है in terms of my client. वो 10 महीने में 100 गुना हो गया. I exited at exactly 102x. I didn't sell a single share on it. And then 6 महीना तक I had all the liquidity in the world because I was doing this renewable transaction. And after 6 months I put everything there, and that's up 15. So that's how I did a 1500x. But you need a lot of role in luck and destiny. And again, I'll emphasize the blessings of elders or the hard work of our parents, being in the right country. या 3 डिग्री अगर आपके stars change हो जाते, तो आप कुछ आजू-बाजू neighboring countries में पहुंच जाते, and all your intellect is not worth a dime. I think we should study Rajiv Bajaj's video on Kathni Karni. We can all bullshit about our intellect, our competency, हमने ये करा वो करा. It's a big role of destiny, and there's a way that I also want to give back to eventually what life has given me. There are a lot of myths and narratives. We don't follow any rules. FIs, हम लोग 20 साल से लिख रहे थे कि there will be a time in this country we will not need FIs. We need FIs. I'm saying the balance. 2003 से 8 के बीच में जो हम लोगों ने FI का character dominance influence देखा, that was wrong. We need FIs. We need a balance of domestic capital and foreign capital. Unfortunately, that balance is now on the other side. Domestic capital is too dominant and FIs are, and absolutely right, FIs don't have attractive terms up here in India. On a post-tax and size adjustment, volatility adjustment, it's very poor returns in India right now. So it's rightful that they're exiting. But there are so many pitfalls in investing. FIs drive the market, rate hikes, market falls, blue chips Thank God I sold all my blue chips in 2011 से 13 के बीच में. Otherwise I would be probably at 12% compounding versus 200-400 गुना. B2C dominates wealth creation. My career actually was focused on B2C. It's only in the last 5 years that I shifted my focus towards manufacturing. So there are again, so strong opinions loosely held. We always say strong opinions loosely held, right? And that's why संगति का बहुत बड़ा फर्क है. I'm associated with Flame University for the last 10-12 years. We have an ecosystem of investors and entrepreneurs who teach us constantly every year. Learning has to be constant. Blue chips, the performance paradox. This is one of the biggest. It's lazy investing and it's investing by a rear view mirror. So blue chips is a very past. Blue chips will not be future blue chips, and it will be an exception of the norm, right? New leaders of every bull market, and this is one of our forte. Fortunately, with God's grace or with all humility, over 20 years, whichever team I've been part of or my founders have excelled in it, but this was the focus, trying to find new leaders with all objectivity. And industry research is a part of finding new leaders. A lot of contrarian, or मैंने तो किसी की नहीं सुनी, because you speak to everyone, you learn from everyone, but you have to follow the template that your conviction is. जब हम लोग renewables की deal कर रहे थे, I would have met 200 largest families in India. We would have gone to all largest investors. We were alone, and we did that transaction alone, putting $100 million or 1,000 crores in a company where nobody IPO 2 बार fail हो गया. China Factor, Reliance, Adani, and you can go on YouTube, you'll find a 2-hour session from me, 3 साल बाद. Today, the company has already become the largest manufacturing company in India. जो चीज लोगों को 50 साल लगे, वो इस कंपनी ने 5-6 साल में कर ली. And the road is much longer from here. You'll see how unknown company, जब हमने इन्वेस्ट किया था तो 25,000 करोड़ की ऑर्डर बुक थी. बॉम्बे में एक छोटा सा ऑफिस था और यूएस की ऑर्डर बुक थी with 7,000 करोड़ के एडवांसेस. इंडिया में I have traveled to 30 cities in the last 3-4 years. There is a miracle happening that we don't. I forgot to tell you, I don't have a TV at home. I've never watched series in my life. I've never touched a newspaper in my life. I don't have any social media. I don't have any WhatsApp group which has forwards. That's because I'm in some way a follower of Morgan Housel also. If we are talking about a framework of screening momentum of industry research, aren't we following a framework of information consumption? There needs to be a filter for information consumption. And I don't want any information which is perishable, which is chatter, which is news. How many of us have read the executive order that the White House releases on tariffs? Anybody has read the executive order of tariff release? There are 74 items of exceptions. Or there are larger. Money is made there. The headline is completely different versus the reality. That's why no media, no broker, no banker, no auditor. You consume everybody's information, but we go by fact. That's why the whole tech stack behind our research is a massive tech stack in terms of what we subscribe to, the kind of data that we have to process to have complete independence. Okay, so the market structure. I don't care about large, mid, small. It has to be speed, based on sectors, based on genre. Okay, old economy versus new economy. I find this so funny. Old economy is manufacturing by traditional definition. I would say new economy is manufacturing in India. The renaissance of manufacturing just begun. Okay. Similarly, there are a lot of distortions. For example, theme. If there is a company which is being enabled or run by technology, so Zomato is a logistics company, or is it a technology company? So please go beyond these labels. I have never ever cared about mid cap, small cap, large cap, digital, new economy. The new world is confluence, convergence of so many building blocks, and so I call it faster cap. And ultimately companies 100 crore का market cap हो या 1 लाख crore का market cap हो, our work is as much. मैंने last year 1.5 साल पहले बजाज फाइनेंस में present किया था in terms of the 6 lakh crore AUM going to, so basically 15,000 crore का profit कैसे 45,000 crore जाएगा next 5 साल, right? And likewise, I have research on 20 other companies जो कि 500 crore का market cap है and how it will become probably 50,000 crore का market cap. So I mean we have to be dispassionate about all these things. Again, S curve. One of the riskiest thing is कि large cap safe है and small cap. The kind of wealth small caps and SMEs have created in the last 10-15 years is fortunes. And कभी एक point के बाद number of zeros do not matter. आधा भी हो जाता है कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता. I'm not saying small cap will create the wealth. I'm saying all large caps were small caps and mid caps in a few years back. Not necessarily all small caps will become large cap. So find the future large caps, and that's where. So if you see how the transition happened, India में 900 crore companies हैं above 100 crores of market cap. We don't look at companies below 80-100 crores of profit. Why? 80-100 crore के profit में promoter ने पूरी जिंदगी की मेहनत कर ली to get it to that level. It's an inflection point where you have all the building blocks to become a large organization. Now, if you see 100 crores of cash flow, 900 companies हैं, more than 500 crores, 470 companies हैं. Ideally, we look for somewhere in between. If you see only 80 companies with more than 5,000 crores of profit, right? Obviously, there will be much more companies which will. So, we look for this transition. And this transition capture करने के लिए, for example, in manufacturing, we've captured several companies जो कि 100 crore से profit से 1,000 crore में गई. We've captured so many industries and companies. Okay, so अगर आपको 10 गुना 100 गुना पैसा करना है, there's a lot of role in luck and destiny. But if you follow 996, it's very easy, right? Investing is a very hard labor. I don't have work-life balance. I don't have, there's nothing called, मैं तो अभी ट्रेविस स्कॉट के कॉन्सर्ट में गया, मेरे बच्चे देख रहे थे, I was really interested, मैं अपना 5 calls attend किया, स्क्रीन पे ट्रांसक्रिप्ट्स पढ़ा. So, but that's because I love this. I have nothing for, मैंने अभी last few years से I've started watching movies, I've started becoming social, otherwise मैंने तो 20 साल और कुछ नहीं किया. There's a lot to learn around what's happening within a closed door versus consuming the information that comes to you. So I have my own, and I'm looking to learn from people who have that framework. But I can tell you, India में अगर 900 companies हैं 100 crore के profit में, और उसमें से 300 companies होंगी which is probably in an industry which you don't understand, which is stagnant, which is governance. 300-400 companies तो वहीं पर हट गई. तो 400 कंपनीज में से आपको निकालनी है कि कहाँ 25-30% ग्रोथ हो सकती है नेक्स्ट 5-10 साल, तो प्रॉब्ली 100-200 कंपनी और हट जाएंगी. तो आपको 200 कंपनी से रिसर्च करना है. एंड देन आई हैव अ लॉट ऑफ टेक्नोलॉजी एट प्ले कि वो 100-200 कंपनीज में से कैसे यू ट्रायंगुलेट 30 कंपनीज, एंड वो 30 कंपनीज पे वी बर्न आवर ब्लड. Okay, so this is a business financial model that I do for all companies, industries, because delta in returns is a function of that. Delta in sales, delta in operating leverage, delta in financial leverage, delta in valuation. And obviously if you've done it across all companies or try and do across so many companies, you can arrive at कि 20-25% CAGR बनेगा. Even if you're wrong, maybe 15% CAGR बनेगा. But usually investing is quite rewarding and asymmetric if you're patient. No auditor, no broker, no credit rating agency, nothing can answer. You have to discover these building blocks over months and years, right? I find over discussion, unfortunately, most of our MBA analysts could be redundant in maybe a few weeks or something, the way the AI is processing data. There's a separate session, I got to show it to you. I challenge anybody sitting here. You challenge me to 5 areas, I will solve it there itself in terms of the kind of technology tools. I subscribe to all tools in the world, Bloomberg Ho, the highest versions of AI. The kind of depth, breadth of information now that is accessible, I'm just shocked and surprised. Even I'm trying to move towards agentic AI, but I'm not doing the work. Maybe some part I'm leading it, some part the systems have to lead me to where to focus on. But these are the 6 building blocks which lead to an outcome of large corporations. So obviously I spend a lot of time in reading books and global case studies. We tend to study more successes. Unfortunately, failures पे कम books लिखी जाती हैं. Oh yeah, I want to just mention, it's very good, very easy to separate
bad and good. Our focus is trying to separate, distill, find companies which have the building blocks of greatness and large scale. So new lens, have we moved beyond obsolete labels, small, mid, large, digital, non-digital, theme, this, that? Do we understand the capabilities of the fish in a competitive position? Have we identified the pond well? That's half the job in some way, and the entire ecosystem. Every company takes a lot of work, every industry takes a lot of work. Where are we in the S-curve? So just a few minutes on where my focus has been in the last 3-4 years, and probably in the next few years also. There is a book that I've launched. It's only for our internal investors, so it's not available publicly. And there are several sessions on YouTube and webinars and all that. Energy Gigatrend, which is a combination of physics, economics, and geopolitics. It's a multi-decade, multi-technology, multi-terawatt, multi-trillion-dollar trend. We are probably, my founders and myself, we are one of the largest investors in this ecosystem. And this has been my Vivekananda's moment. From 4th January 2022 till now, I've only focused on this area. In our lifetime or the next lifetime, this is going to be the biggest industry, bigger than IT, pharma, chemical combined. Right? This is going to be the biggest profit pool. And I'm just going to whoosh through it, given where are we on the time. Okay, we are at 48 minutes, so I have 5-10 minutes more. S-curve is going to happen here, no matter what Trump says, yeah, it doesn't really matter. By the way, the headline is something else, but the fact of data in US is something else. I'm tracking every project in India, every project in US, everything that's happening in China. That's my monthly thing. The evidence of data is very different. This is what the narrative is. This is going to be the deepest capex opportunity. 30 से 50 trillion dollar या 50 trillion dollar की capex opportunity है. There are multiple facets to how I've analyzed, decomposed, country-wise, project-wise, या India में क्या होगा and all that. I'll show you some snippet. This is Tesla's view. 10 trillion dollar capex होगा. It's highly understated, but that's what it's an old slide. 3 से 4 trillion dollar का capex हर साल होगा. And today we're at 1 trillion dollars, so the capex is going to rise. Every boom in the past reaches 5 to 6% of GDP. We are today at the cusp, a beginning of a boom in renewables. Okay, and previous communication infrastructure cycle, China, commodity or cloud e-commerce, they all reached 5% of GDP. There is more study that we have done. I'm just trying to put it in a picture. So energy transition, energy rewiring of the ecosystem has just begun. This is the future, 100% solar wind battery. Last night, I got a bit late in sleeping, 2 बज गए थे सोते because Rajasthan has launched the biggest tender in the world. Okay, India भी कुछ चीजों में China से सीख रहा है. If somebody has to see what China is, actually वहाँ पर जाके depression नहीं होता because जो size and scale है, you come back and you feel depressed up here. But आपको कुछ सीखना है life में, या तो Apple in China पढ़ लो, नहीं Apple, but just 15 दिन China tour कर लो. You feel depressed where we are. I took a test drive of SU7, Xiaomi की जो कार है, 32 लाख में गाड़ी बिक रही है. वो car is probably worth 2 crores, in terms of the value. It will give a Porsche 911 a run for its money. If Chinese are allowed to export, मैंने वो BYD seal book भी की, ले भी आया था, but it's so low, it's not right for the Indian roads. So Chinese in terms of technology, if somebody really wants to read about China, read the Make in China policy. I'll be writing a detailed webinar and thing on that, Make in China. India is trying to invite that. It's 8 industries that China strategically identified 15 years back and how they built all those industries through support and a lot of other things. So this is the future, wind solar battery. In our lifetime, and I'll show you a video, you don't have to believe it. This is the current energy ecosystem architecture. And in next 12 years, entire energy infrastructure around the world will change. It could be 12 saal, it could be 15 saal, nothing beyond, right? And we've done a lot of work around every part of the value chain, whether it be renewables, power, digitization, whether it be power components, discoms, everything. And this will happen despite our company's democracy, which is a big limiting factor. Everything is going to get digitized, electrified. In 2000, there were limitations to what ecosystems could be electrified. Now every part of the ecosystem is going to be electrified. Buildings, industry, transport, everything. My next project is around battery, energy storage. We've done a large investment there. Then green hydrogen, and I focus on these industries. I spent 3 months on that. The whole power of Middle East and US is going to shift towards East. It's already happening. I'll not spend too much of time. This is the first ever in the humanities history where everybody is aligned to a single trend, which is because of energy security, energy affordability, clean energy, and private equity ho, sovereign wealth funds ho, consumer ho, corporate ho, everybody is aligned to this mega trend. Solar 2000 में I think I'll conclude this because we've out of time. Okay, just this. There are multiple technologies across the world, but the most scalable is solar and battery. Simple and scalable leads to a snowball effect that no politician can interrupt. This is the future in terms of, and it's already happening in India. It's already happening in India. So solar is the most versatile, malleable, adaptable, and scalable technology in the world, and I can't come across any other technology where 25 साल के लिए आप कुछ चीज खरीद रहे हो and it has to perform at top, it has to perform at 25 years for you. There's a lot of other technology discussion that is publicly available from our side on YouTube and all. So this whole flywheel of renewables, electrification, efficiency is. Yesterday in the night I was talking to a gentleman about digital transformers. Energy efficiency loss related. You'll see a big boom there. He's not here right now. Yeah, so solar आप 1 kV का भी लगा सकते हो और 1 gigawatt का भी लगा सकते हो. So it's one of the most malleable, versatile, scalable technologies for that reason. इस साल CY25 में 600 gigawatt का solar लगा है. 20 साल पहले it was 1 gigawatt annually. इस साल 600 gigawatt लगा है. And within 4 or 5 years it will be 1 terawatt annually. I don't think so most people understand the perspective, so let me give you. What is 1 megawatt? 1 gigawatt is 1000 megawatt. What is 1 megawatt? 1 megawatt को transport करने के लिए 340 feet container चाहिए. And we are talking about 6000 megawatt every year, as of now. I attended Cinex Solar in Shanghai. It's a great conference to attend every year. Today we are at 2.2 terawatt. It will become 20-30 terawatt in the next 30 years. And Elon Musk tweet करता रहता है कि every month कि solar should be 90% of the world. So the industry cycle is just about beginning, and the advent of battery energy storage technology will only accelerate this adoption. मैं इंडिया का दिखाता हूँ. So India, the national plan that NTPC and all the others have presented, we are going from 22% renewable energy to 60% in the next few years. This is the more detailed plan. There is amazing content from Power Ministry, and at the pace at which they work, it's crazy. So solar should become 10x from here in the next 20 years in terms of capacity. This is a big trend there. I'm not going into detail. This is my growth model that India will need anywhere between 1400 gigawatt of solar or abhi 110 gigawatt. So we have still a long way. We are importing 1 lakh crores of solar equipment. Just one part. There's so much of import. खाली इसी का import substitution already चालू हो गया. Already India has become module independent and cell independent हो जाएगा 2 साल में. फिर wafer हो जाएगा. Power electronics में already regulations आ गए हैं. There is आत्मनिर्भर. Solar companies are growing much faster than renewable companies are growing much faster than software companies. 30-40% growth hai, but caveat, I'm not trying to suggest any stock advice and all that. You're going to see the creation of multiple mega companies in this ecosystem, and it's not simple to analyze. It's taken me at least 1,000 hours to understand this. There are a lot of narratives that go around: overcapacity, competitive intensity, technology obsolescence, regulation, capex intensity, terminal value. I don't want to spend time over it. We've also taken several years to figure out, and that's why our investment sizes are very different. This is a book that I couldn't carry. It's a large book. It's a heavy book. I forgot, but I'll send Rajiv ji a copy. It's out of print. 1,000 copies print kiye the. So it took me almost 6 months to author this book. The reason why I authored this book was मैं presentations and webinars करके थक गया था, मुझे लगा लोगों को समझाना, and a lot of these companies used to call me, present to the board, and I used to like, you guys are still sleeping. It's only a few companies in this country which have woken up to how big this industry is going to be, so I had to make that impact, and that's why this book. So, manufacturing is weaponized in this world. Don't try to find idealism. It's weaponized completely. And ये नया India है, ये घुसेगा भी, मारेगा भी. So, what India is doing, recently we made an investment in a CCTV company, and the regulations around CCTV industry is completely changed in the last 3-4 months. If you have studied regulations, central government जो 70 साल में नहीं किया, वो last 5-7 साल में. So obviously इंडिया में हर चीज देर से होती है, 2 स्टेप आगे 1 स्टेप पीछे, बट जो भी सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट कर रही है ना, एब्सोल्यूट धुरंधर. So उनका मैंने कितने सारे सिस्टम्स क्रिएट करके रखे हैं टू ट्रैक द रेगुलेशंस, बट आई स्टिल फाइंड इट हार्ड. So in every industry they have created, concluding thoughts, robots. There are several new industries that are going to become mega scale. Robotics is one of them. Unfortunately, India does not have the value chain as of now. But what we try and do is a balance कि आप कुछ पढ़ो for the future and कुछ आज का market में क्या करना है. Robots is one area that we want to study. So, investing is about balancing past lessons and future agility. So we have to. That's about it. Before I show you a video of how industries transform. But I've already spoken about this. But I want to stay away from information and price related, even though I need to learn that system, but I want to detach. Knowledge now is commoditized because of AI, because we have access to so many areas. Wisdom is still a journey. Come cheese karo, how to distill things, focus on few things, and obviously we are looking for kahan par, we can really put large sums of capital, but it's not so easy. So, I don't want to be penny wise and pound fool. So, in terms of the tech stack that I use, I tend to use all of them. And for the last 20 years, I've been technology savvy because I'll have my own limitations. Even if I work 996, अभी last 2 साल से मैं कम कर दिया, I need to have some work-life balance. But otherwise, 7 days a week, 10 hours a day, it was relentless for 15 odd years. But now because of technology, I don't have to work. I've really moved to a 4-hour day. Now the depth and breadth of research can be delegated. 1900, this is only horses. 1913, only cars. 13 साल में हजारों साल का automotive system, mobility system change हो गया है. So the concluding video is going to drive home the point.
There is usually a long period of equilibrium where nothing seems to happen. And suddenly, everything changes.
We want to focus on one case study, which is transportation only.
Horses were the main way of getting around for thousands of years. Carriages got better, and their use spread, but the transport system remained the same. At the dawn of the 20th century, a convergence occurred that opened a window of extraordinary new possibilities. Innovations in steel and rubber production, the pneumatic tire, the combustion engine, made possible an affordable and functioning car. But there were huge barriers. Early cars were expensive and unreliable. There were no paved roads, no supply chains or mechanics, no manufacturing capacity, and few oil wells or refineries. Few people knew how to drive. Outside a few enthusiasts tinkering in their workshops, no one recognized the possibilities, least of all the horse and carriage industry, which dismissed early cars as a rich person's toy. But as costs and capabilities improved rapidly, the niche expanded through a self-reinforcing cycle of increasing demand and economies of scale, cost reductions, increasing investment, and accelerating innovation. The invention of the moving production line in car finance made cars even more affordable. The horse and carriage industry could not compete. Their deep expertise in the old system, their inability to see beyond their narrow lens, was their greatest liability. It's why disruptors always come from outside the incumbency. By the time the establishment realized what was happening, it was too late. The S-curve had overtaken them. Within 20 years, They were destroyed by a death spiral of dwindling demand, escalating costs, plummeting investments, and reversing economies of scale. Cars could go faster, further, carry more load, and created new market opportunities far beyond the niche of the horse. Cascading impacts were unleashed that changed everything. The transport industry was transformed, but so too were agriculture, retail, and mining, where we lived and worked, the structure of our cities. Cars transformed war, health, geopolitics, and the environment. They created previously unthinkable possibilities, both good and bad. This is our secret, a lens that reveals what goes on beneath the surface, where the complex forces that drive the patterns of change play out. Predicting the future based on past trends can help in times of stability, but in periods of rapid change, it can lead to big mistakes. That's because disruption isn't a straight line. It comes with rapid change and sweeping, far-reaching consequences that can transform entire industries in a handful of years. Who would have thought the smartphone could disrupt the oil industry? But that's what's so fascinating about disruption. It's not limited to technology, but has the power to change society at large.
So, again, people who are relying on, for example, DRHP analysis, जो consultant उसके पीछे है उसको कुछ मालूम है क्या? We can't fall for that. So be very careful. Markets will not gratify so easily by delegating your research to so-called experts. Look back into history. So-called experts, I can't say much on recorded, So you have to know which expert to find where. It's a hard research in itself. I'm sorry I overshot by 10 minutes, Rajiv ji, but truly humbled. I'm so touched by your warm hospitality and the kind of community you've built. I think there's पैसा कोई अपने साथ लेके जाने वाला नहीं है. Memories and learnings is our true wealth.
You overshooting by 10-15 minutes. Even if it was 20 minutes, you would be happy. This is